It looks like we have some clowns who are desperate for airtime.
What's something you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud?
When men say they don't support feminism because they think it's fighting for women to be superior to men or have more power than men, they're admitting that they're scared of being treated the same way men treat women.
That is so funny to me. And the reason why this is so funny to me is because the men getting those invitations will finally realize how women feel 99% of the time. I would take it one step further and not even put Mrs. and just put MS. Because why not? Maybe put the woman's last name instead of the man's. Spice things up a bit. And when you get those angry guests calling you, asking why the invitations were written this way, it's gonna be the best justification that the patriarchy exists.
Guys, girls like these are the same types of girls who rock around to 30, 40, and 50 years of age and sit there asking themselves the question, why can't I find a good man? Where have all of the men gone? Why do men not want to get married anymore? And the thing is, gentlemen, you've got all these women sitting here on TikTok jumping up and down about how, you know, I'm so oppressed and life is so difficult for me, when literally everything is handed to them. Whenever we see girls complain about relationships, guys, or complain about men and stuff like that, all I do in my head, gentlemen, is I just laugh, okay? Because a lot of these girls, they can have relationships if they want it, right? They can have a guy who cares about them. They can have 50-50 in a relationship, but let me tell you something, gentlemen. They will sit here saying that they want 50-50 in a relationship, but no, they don't. Okay, when was the last time you saw any of these modern women actually pay for a date or do something for a man? Right? They don't want to, because they only want equality when it benefits them, guys. They only want equality when they actually get something out of it, right? When they can sign on that dotted line, they can get into a marriage and walk away confidently going, you know what, I'm going to get something out of it. But when they don't, that's when it's an issue. But what is going on, gentlemen? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video, and on today's show, guys, we're going to be talking about why men are not getting married anymore. But before we crack into it, gentlemen, if you're new here, you're liking the videos, make sure that you subscribe on your way in, and as always, gentlemen, if you are interested in supporting the show, make sure you check out the locals link in the description, guys. The first month over there is totally free on me, guys, so if you're interested in supporting the channel, make sure you check out that link in the description, and the code is along with it. But gentlemen, we're just going to be jumping straight into today's article, and this one is quite frankly hilarious. Okay, so this is on EV magazine, it's called. Now you may remember we used to cover them quite a lot on the channel, and it seems like they've changed their tune a little bit. Maybe they were receiving quite a lot of criticism, but they seem to have done a complete 180 on a lot of the things that they say on this website, but I'm not too sure. We haven't gone through it all. But just in this article in particular, guys, let's have a look at this title here. It starts by saying, why are so many men refusing to get married? Is it because of women, or is it because of the unfair family justice system? This article was updated in January of 2021, and it begins by saying, marriage is on the decline, and it's a scary thought. Imagine dating a man for years, cohabitating, and giving the relationship your all without him ever having to put a ring on it. No matrimony, no wedding dress, and no big celebration with family and friends. What about the thought of having children without marriage? It's fine if you don't believe in marriage, but the rest of us do. Most women look forward to tying the knot with the man of their dreams, but what will happen if millions of men refuse to get married? This is what's currently happening in America and many other parts of the world. And gentlemen, we're going to take a pause there to really emphasize this point at the bottom. We're going to be talking about this entire thing, but this part right here is what we're going to start with. This is currently happening in America and many other parts of the world. Gentlemen, I was scrolling through YouTube before I started recording this video, and I came across a video with only a few hundred views on it. And it was talking about, you know, this side of the internet, you know, men who choose to go their own way, shall we say, right? And the thing is he was talking about how large is this, okay? How many men are looking at marriage, looking at relationships, looking at cohabitation and all that kind of stuff and thinking, no, thank you. And he made the point of saying, not many people know about this corner of the internet. Yeah, it's pretty big, but in the grand scheme of things, not all men know. But a lot of men who maybe aren't aware of this side of the internet, they're completely done with dating, right? They have no interest in getting married. They have no interest in having relationships with a lot of these modern Western women. And they don't even know what the hell this part of the internet is about, gentlemen. I mean, a lot of guys are walking away simply because they're done. Right? Not because they came across an online community like this where we talk about men's issues or we share our experiences in dating. No, you see, a lot of guys are just running into this stuff on their own. And they're saying, I got dragged through the divorce courts. I'm never doing that again. Or, I see how relationships work now. I've been around the block a couple times. I can see what's going to happen. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And I actually watched some Coach Greg Adams the other day, guys. And I don't watch many content creators. I like to watch some Better Bachelor here and there. I like to watch Coach Greg Adams and people like that. Fantastic content creators. If you haven't checked them out, by the way, go and check them out. But one thing that Coach Greg Adams said to me, gentlemen, and this really stuck in my head, was that a lot of young men, in particular, will get married. Okay, they'll sit there and go, they don't really understand what they have to lose, right? A lot of young guys are maybe not as established in life, haven't got their career going to a super successful point yet, or maybe they're just starting out on their career. So a lot of young men are really willing to get married. But a guy who's 35, a guy who's 40, who's kind of got his career together, he knows what he has to lose. If anything, he knows that he has some sanity to lose because he's been around the block a couple of times. And the sad thing is, gentlemen, is the reason why I point that out is because a lot of men in marriages do nothing but lose. And I don't think that's a consequence of men being terrible people or men, being awful or anything like that. It's just when you enter into these relationships, guys, you're not just entering into this relationship or this contract with the woman, you're also entering into it with the state, okay, where they can interfere with your personal life and say, you know what? She wants to file for divorce under irreconcilable differences, and you're going to be the one that's having to kind of bite the bullet for this. Okay, so let's continue with this article here and address a few of these points before we continue. This part right here, imagine dating a man for years, cohabitating, and giving the relationship your all without him ever having to put a ring on it. You gotta love how men are the ones who are required to sacrifice in a relationship. You see, she's talking about giving it her all, but what if the guy's giving it his all as well? Why does he have to buy you a ring? Why does he have to do extra things for you? Why is a man always expected to go above and beyond for a woman? Okay, see, again, we return to this idea of 50-50. This idea of, if you're against womanism, then you're against equality. It's never about equality, guys. You think that these women want equality. It's an absolute joke. Okay, and this is something that, a point that I feel like I bring up every single day, gentlemen, which is if you're a man and you don't know any better, maybe you haven't been on this side of the internet before, or you haven't been around the block a few times with relationships, you'll be inclined to believe crap like you should be doing everything for these girls. What are they doing for you, is my question. Okay, if you're a man in a relationship right now and your girl's treating you like crap, why the hell are you there? You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of guys, they don't want to be alone and they figure that the girl is the best they're ever going to get. And let me tell you something, gentlemen. Sometimes one of the best things for a man is to be able to be alone, because these girls, quite frankly, can just be a huge headache sometimes. But continuing on with the article. Historically low marriage rates in America. U.S. News reported that marriage rates reached a historic low in 2018, with only 6.5 people out of 1,000 getting married, the lowest level in 118 years. That warms my cold, dead heart, gentlemen, when I see that number, because that is still 6.5 too high, but it is 6.5, so we've made some progress. Okay, and the reason why I'm glad to see that, gentlemen, is because marriage is not something that favors men. I don't care how many times these womanists want to sit there and say that it benefits men because, and they cite some BS to do with life expectancy, right? The thing is, marriage screws over men. Ask men who have been through marriage, who are married, and ask them what their current situation is, guys, because the odds are not really for men in terms of happiness or keeping your assets or any kind of metric you really want to use. Marriage screws over men. So the lower we can get this number, the better, at least for the time being, where the state just seems to have an agenda screwing over men. But let's continue onwards. Marriage rates reached a historic low in 2018, with only 6.5 out of 1,000 people getting married. Philip Cohen, a sociology professor at the University of Maryland, says women's independence and gender equality is a huge factor in the long-term decline in marriage. There has also been a rise in men's rights groups, such as the acronym that I'm not allowed to say, and the Manosphere, where men in droves complain about men's unfair treatment in relationships and family courts. They're tired of being browbeaten by women and the gender-biased laws against men. For this reason, millions of men don't want to get married and are opting out of marriage altogether. You know, let's just add a few things here, okay? Men are not just opting out of marriage, by the way. A lot of men are opting out of a lot of things. Participating in society for one, relationships in general for another, or cohabitating while in a relationship, having kids. You know, a lot of men, quite frankly, are just done. And it doesn't have to be necessarily to do with marriage, because a lot of guys are getting screwed over in all aspects. And when I say a lot of guys, I mean the average man. I'm not talking about, you know, a guy here or there. When you talk to dudes about their relationship experiences, guys, like it's not altogether pleasant. Right, all I hear are headache stories, and it doesn't matter where you go. Like, I know I pull up Reddit stories on this show, guys, and we talk about specific stories where men have issues and stuff like that. But in real life, gentlemen, you never see relationships that are going peachy, right? Because you always see what will happen is when things are going smooth, when things are going well, women will bring you a problem. I don't care if it's a 10-year relationship. I don't care if it's a 3-week relationship, guys. A lot of these women, you know, they really do crave the drama more than anything else. Men avoid marriage because it's too risky and too costly. Men are not marrying because for many men, the rewards for getting married are far less than they used to be, while the costs and dangers of it are far higher. Divorce rates are sky high. 45% of marriages end in divorce, and women initiate 80% of them. Now, gentlemen, if this doesn't paint a picture for you, I don't know what will, okay? Again, just keep in mind that the women, as per the TikToks at the beginning of the video, they're the ones that are complaining about the equality issues, guys. You know, there are plenty of TikToks on this show, gentlemen. There are plenty of women who will be out here telling you that relationships are difficult for them. They can't find a good guy. And whenever I hear that stuff, gentlemen, I just laugh. I really do. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, when you see that stuff as well, you laugh as well. Where women will say, oh, if men don't do this, I'm going to leave the dating market. It's like, okay, not a lot of men are interested in dating anymore anyway. Like, a lot of guys are looking at situations like this and thinking to themselves, okay, if I am going to date, there's no way I'm doing it in any capacity beyond casually. Right? Why would I commit? Why would I buy a ring? Why would I do these things? And, you know, a lot of men will ask the question. They'll say, okay, what do you bring to the table? Why should I commit? And girls will sit there, and you know what they'll respond, guys? They'll say, I am the table, which men will just kind of go, okay, well, at least I tried, but I'm on my way out now. So, divorce rates are at a sky high. 45% of marriages end in divorce, and women initiate 80% of them. And this is a statistic, gentlemen. I also want to bring this up here for a moment, okay? That also kind of carries on into relationships that don't necessarily meet marriage anyway. Because what happens is a lot of girls, they quite frankly have a lot more options than men. So what will happen is, in just regular relationships where, like I said, it doesn't make it to marriage and stuff like that, women, rather than dealing with issues that come up in a relationship, a lot of girls will go, you know what, I'm just going to replace my man. I can just jump on Tinder, I'll have 100 matches within the day if I really want to, and I'm just going to choose a new man. So nobody seems to want to hold relationships anymore together, particularly the women, because they're looking at all their matches on their phone and going, I think I'll just try my luck with the bad boy and see if I can do a bit better, because maybe he has a better car, maybe he has a better job, maybe he has something that my man currently doesn't, and we're having an argument. So I'm just going to test the waters, and I'm just going to reactivate my account and have a few chats here and there. What harm can it do? So this is a statistic that is not just in divorces, gentlemen, where a lot of women, they don't want to put in the work on a relationship because they always seem to figure that they can do better. But if you're a dude and you're considering marriage, I mean, please just look at this, guys. Like, it's not something that I can, in good conscience, recommend to any man. This man here, Tim Hicks on Twitter, I believe it is, yes, says, divorce and family law are skewed against the man. It is what it is. Until it changes, it's a crap sandwich. And he retweets Daniel at Invest and Be Free, who says, mine cost me 500 grand. There's nothing fair and equal about the process. You're a man, you're going to get bent over, and you're going to say things that I can't say on YouTube. This guy's divorce cost him 500k. Now, I've heard stories that go well and truly above 500,000, gentlemen, but the fact remains is that is $500,000 to a woman who is not in a relationship with you. I find it interesting, and when I say interesting, I mean disgusting, to see that, you know, men are still expected to take care of people who screw them over. Right? And because the thing is, you think that these relationships, let me just make this absolutely clear, guys. Women can literally cheat on you in a relationship, file for divorce, and still get your money. Right? So they can get your house, they can get your kids, and all the while, they can be the one that screwed up the relationship. Doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying, gentlemen? You see what, like, there are so many problems with this, and nobody seems to want to do anything. And this is going to result in a lot more than just a marriage decline, okay? Because guys figure, well, what the hell is the point with any of it anyway? Right? It's like, why would I go out here? Why would I go and make all this effort and try and do all of these things when society doesn't seem to care for me? And one of the solutions that you can kind of offer men is the fact that, well, now there's actually some freedom in that. And the freedom comes from the fact that, well, you can just do things for yourself, I guess. You know, you don't have to go out here trying to make women happy because it doesn't work anyway, right? Trying to make girls happy is one of the most pointless things ever, gentlemen. So a lot of men initially look at it and go, oh, well, screw that. I'm just kind of done with everything. But then a lot of guys realize, hey, wait a minute, there's some happiness to be found here because now I have more time for hobbies. I have more time for the things that I care about. I can work on myself. I can do the grinds and hustle for what it is that I actually care about. Okay, and that's a really fantastic thing to see. And that's kind of the silver lining of this situation, gentlemen, where a lot of men have walked out of situations like this and they find a new them. Right, they find something new that they can focus on and care about, and a lot of men come out on the other end and feel a lot more peace than trying to go through this, quite frankly, hellscape of marriages and relationships in 2021. But let's continue on with the article. Ultimately, men know they could lose a lot, from losing their freedom to being financially exploited to losing custody of their children. It's common knowledge that the courts favor women over men. They're renowned for favoring women regarding the division of assets, child support, and alimony, even if they aren't married. Now, guys, this is something that, look, on this side of the internet, gentlemen, you will get all sorts of points of view, men saying, I don't want to get married, all the way to, I won't deal with women altogether. But this is a very scary thought right here. You can lose your assets, you can lose your children and stuff like that, even if you aren't married. I believe in certain states, now don't quote me on this, guys, I don't live in America and I don't particularly know the states that you guys have, but correct me if I'm wrong, there's a few where you can be with a woman for a relatively short amount of time, all things considered, and she's still entitled to all your crap, even if you aren't married. Like, and I'm talking a pretty short amount of time, so maybe someone in the comments can kind of leave the information on that, guys, but that's a really scary thought, is even if you aren't married, you're still on the hook for all of these things. And that's why a lot of spaces, a lot of content creators over this side of the internet will tell you guys, look, even cohabitation is a huge risk. Okay, and that's not something where, like, we're out here trying to be mean or we're trying to be evil. It's like, if you look at this, it's just a huge risk for men. And this is something that also extends to your sanity as well, not just the alimony, the child support, and the division of assets, okay? A lot of guys, like, really kind of, they go through this process and their whole world is turned upside down because you start to realize some things real damn quick about what society actually is. Right, and about what relationships can actually look like, all right? Because we're kind of sold this idea as men that everything is peach and roses and things are fantastic and nobody has any negative intention towards one another. And you figure out, oh, wait a minute, people can actually be out here using me for my money, my attention, and my time. And the one that before we continue with the article here, gentlemen, one that I kind of really want to highlight, we'll jump into some gameplay while I talk about this part right here, is one of the earliest ones as well that I think a lot of guys get frustrated about is the attention. Okay, wow, we're getting straight into the action in this game, but a lot of guys, they actually find out that when they come across content on this side of the internet, they actually realize that they've been used for attention a hell of a lot in their life. Right? When I say to guys, look, don't waste your time with these very long conversations. A lot of girls are just using you for free meals or free attention and stuff like that. A lot of guys feel really cheated out of this stuff because women have they have a agenda in wasting the hell out of your time. Right? A lot of girls, if you let them, gentlemen, they'll sit on the phone and you can be the best texting buddies in the world, even though she has no intention of seeing you at all. Right? And this is something that happens way before marriage and way before a girl necessarily trying to take all your money and stuff like that through the divorce courts. But a lot of guys really get screwed over at all kind of levels of this. Right, and this is something that a lot of like high school kids and young boys realize kind of as they come across this side of the internet, which is, look, you don't even have to get married for people to want to use you quite a lot. Right, and that's a real wake-up call to a lot of men because, again, we're kind of sold this idea that girls are sugar, spice, and everything nice. And if you want to talk about the fact that maybe you should value your attention and your time, everybody gets mad at you as a man. Right, everybody gets mad at you when you want to protect your time and your assets and stuff like this, which is just something that's so incredibly concerning because you will already have a hard enough time trying to tell guys like this. I got an email the other day, gentlemen, and it's gotten to the point I can't reply to every email. There's just kind of too many to get through in conjunction with Patreon questions and stuff like that. But a man sent me an email the other day, and I quite often get these ones talking about how, Taylor, what do I tell my friend? You know, my friend's going through this situation, or he's looking to get married and stuff like this. And again, I bring this up quite a lot, but the unfortunate thing is a lot of men really, they have to go through the pain of these situations to understand and to be able to accept some of these answers. Because if I tell guys to go out there and respect their time and don't waste their time with girls who are going to give them headaches, what a lot of society is going to hear is they're going to say, oh, he's just being, you know, the M word, or he's just being awful, he's just being disrespectful just for the sake of it. Because society does not like you as a man protecting your time. They would rather you waste your time, because here's the thing, guys. You think that the state wants to pay for these women who are out here being single mothers and stuff like that? Or you think that the state wants to pay for these girls who are out on the streets now that they don't have a house to live in because you paid for the house? No, they want the men to continue to pay. Right? They want the good man who's spent his whole life working, studying, making something of himself. They want that guy to pay all the bills because she does. Look, the state doesn't want to pay all the bills for the girl, guys. So the girl's going to be happy to take the money. She's going to be happy to take the attention and stuff like that, which is just it's something that's so insane for a lot of guys to come to the realization of when we talk about this sort of stuff on the channel, guys. And it's one of the reasons why, like, I cannot tell men, you know what, it's a great idea to go out there and get married. I mean, I try not to tell you guys what to do anyway. Like, I want you guys to be able to make up your own minds and your own opinions and that sort of thing. This is not a channel where I tell you guys what to do with your life and you guys need to do this and you guys need to do that. I think men get enough of that crap as it is. And just talking about marriage in general, guys, it's not a recommendation that I can make to men at all. And a lot of you guys in the comments will share that same sentiment, where we got dudes over here who have been divorced, who have gone through these situations where it's like, why on earth would you tell a man to put himself through such a high level of risk? But we are going to be jumping back into the article here momentarily. So let's just switch the screen once again. Continuing onwards, men lose money. For example, an Ontario businessman was ordered to pay more than $50,000 a month to his ex-girlfriend, despite neither owning a house nor having children together. Wow. Under Ontario law, an unmarried couple is considered common law spouses if they have cohabitated, lived together in a conjugal relationship for at least 3 years. Wow. We had a man, I think it was PJ Washington, who was paying $200K a month right? So 4 times this, but that's just so insane, guys. And yeah, this is what we were talking about. So in Ontario, for at least 3 years, you have to. It doesn't even matter if you have a house together or if you have kids or not. This guy's paying $50,000 a month. I mean, how ridiculous is that, gentlemen? This is something that's just so insane to me, especially when you look at the state of relationships at the moment, where you know, intergender relationships, shall we say, are just so screwed up, where a lot of these girls, they think that they're entitled to everything, man, and the government's just giving them a pat on the back and saying, you know what, you are. So wow, that's disgusting. Continuing onwards with the article, men lose their children. In the UK, Liz Jones, a columnist at the Daily Mail, reported how she stole her ex-boyfriend's stuff I can't talk about to try and get pregnant but failed, and how one of her friends lied to a new boyfriend that she was on the pill. He's now in a relationship and has to pay support for a child he never sees. Entrapment pregnancy, aka forced fatherhood, is a common problem in the United States too. Many men feel like paying support for a child they didn't agree to have is unfair, but the courts see it as doing what's right for the child. A woman receiving child support can also claim government assistance, welfare, free health insurance, etc., while the man gets nothing. And here below we have a tweet from a man named Habib Akande, who says, "Football loses everything after a divorce." In an interview with the Sunday Mirror, former Arsenal football player Emmanuel Eboe told how he lost a divorce battle that left his wife Aurelie with all of their assets, and how he has no contact with his 2 daughters. And this was posted in 2017. And that's just, I know I keep saying this, guys, but really, like, reading this article, it's just so crazy to kind of see it all. And again, this right here is so, you know, this, I've got to be very careful about what I say here, because YouTube will just have no problem kind of kicking us off here. But look, you'll get a lot of girls who will complain about bodily autonomy and stuff like that, and that's a whole nother argument we haven't really discussed on the channel here, guys. But you know, my body, my choice is essentially the phrase that you will hear quite a lot. But it seems to me that when it comes to a man, you know, there's not a whole lot of choice at all, and everyone seems to be perfectly okay with that, as though it's not a complete issue at all. You see what I'm saying, guys? We're like, oh, it's a man's body, so nobody really gives a crap about this, right? And this is something, again, that's just so... The fact of the matter is, there's such a huge difference as well between these two things. And again, I won't talk too much about the former, because YouTube will just boot us off here. But I want you guys to notice how this one here, of forced fatherhood, it has a very malicious element to it for this to even begin. Right, a girl has to go out there and deliberately do this thing with malicious intent, and yet it's treated as though it's acceptable in the eyes of the law, and the guy even has to pay at the end of it. I mean, gentlemen, if you've made it this far, please leave your comments and your thoughts on this, guys. Like, I want to see what you guys have to say on this, because again, reading through this stuff, like, we know this happens, but just reading it in words, it's like, oh my... It's giving me a headache, guys. We might be wrapping up the show kind of soon, but let's continue onwards and wrap up this article here. In the event of a married couple divorcing, men only get custody of their children 10% of the time, but are always responsible for paying child support and alimony. Many men complain that courts send a message that fathers are not essential to raising children beyond the point of paying child support. The closing thoughts: in a society that strives for equality, maybe these gender laws are outdated. Women make up 50% of the labor force, so why do we claim unfair gender divides regarding marriage and family disputes? If the risks involved in entering marriage were equally distributed, perhaps more men will feel like they have less to lose. It's such a minefield, and change might not happen fast. Still, if we want to see men viewing marriage in a positive light again, so we can continue to have strong family units, it will take a long-term focused effort from women. Yeah, you see, that's where you lost. That's where you lose it. Okay? It will take a long-term focused effort from women. Like, if I had like cricket's effect and like a black and white effect with rain for the screen, guys, I would be playing that right now. But I mean, really, It will take a long-term, focused effect from women, men, and the government. You see, the problem with this sentence is these two things right here, the government and the women, benefit from screwing over the men. So, I mean, good luck with seeing that change, but you never know, right? Here's to hoping. Being aware of the issues men face, empathizing, and trying to see it from their perspective is a great place to start. And again, like reading this article, I've covered a few articles off this website, guys. Kind of getting the feeling that maybe this is just some pandering to try and not lose all their support and stuff like that. But who the hell knows? But let's look at this before we kind of wrap up the show here, guys. The thing about wanting to switch this around is also the fact that women are out here choosing men who earn more money than them, right? That and the thing about that is that's not going to change. Okay, that's not going to change even if you change the law or whatever the case may be. Men are still going to be out here used for their money. So as far as I'm concerned, guys, the more we can talk about this sort of stuff and really kind of bring this up is good for men, because a lot of dudes are quite frankly out here just getting absolutely used and they don't even know it. So guys, we're going to kind of wrap up today's show with a few more thoughts. So I want you guys to leave your thoughts as we end off today's episode, where we've just viewed some absolute insanity. And again, I want to point out that the TikToks that we watched at the beginning of the video, guys, it really is not uncommon for those types of women to turn around at the end and ask the questions, where have all the good men gone? You know, why can't I find a relationship? Why can't I find a guy? And there's a whole host of reasons for that, you know, ranging from the attitude to the laws that are against men. And you know, different men will have different perspectives on this and kind of say, well, I don't want to deal with girls because of the attitude, or I don't want to deal with girls because of the risks, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's a combination of the two. But the fact of the matter remains, which is, you know, the society wants to blame all of these issues at the feet of men, by saying the solution to this problem is that men need to do more. Men need to man up. You just need to man up, and you need to continue providing for us. And I think that's really the most disgusting part of the story, guys, where all of these terrible things are happening to men, whether it be in relationships or marriages and stuff like that. And the solution that society is offering to men, rather than go out there and focus on yourself and focus what you care about, and make something that you truly care about, rather than saying that, it's saying, you know what, guys? You're not a real man unless you contribute to screwing yourself over, right? You're not a real man unless you agree with us and you go out there and you join them, you get married and you show a girl and you provide for her, because apparently that's what makes a real man in society. And that's something that's really aggravating, guys, is, again, rather than giving men an actual solution, with the solution being go out there and focus on yourself and do what you care about and your hobbies and stuff like that. Rather than saying that to men, it's about shaming men, right? It's about saying, oh, you're not a real man unless you come along and do these things for us. You're not a real man unless you show how much you care. When, I'm sorry, guys, but where is the reciprocity, right? Where is the care for men? You go on Tinder, you go on Bumble, there's no care there. Right, you get into a relationship very rarely. Like for the average man, guys, relationships are just absolutely such a pain to deal with, to get into, to maintain, and to deal with. Okay, so until there is reciprocity for men, it really is a difficult thing recommending to guys, you know what, go out there, get into relationships, get into marriages and stuff like that, when the risks are just so incredibly high. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. So as I said a little bit earlier, make sure that you leave your comments and your thoughts, guys. It's always interesting to see what you gentlemen have to say in the discussion. But otherwise, we will be leaving it there. So gentlemen, if you're interested in supporting the channel, make sure you check out the locals link in the description, guys. The first month over there is totally free on me with code Fiendish, guys. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, make sure you check that out. But otherwise, guys, we will be leaving it there. And as always, gentlemen, make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you boys in the next episode. Peace.